You're listening to She's the Business podcast.
Now, what are those factors that have created success? And when I've been looking for these, I love to look for patterns of success. And in looking for them, I've discovered that there are a few really common ways that we're actually holding ourselves back from having the growth or success that we're looking for in our business. And if we can only just remove those 5 things, then how much easier would that be? So today's episode is all about what these 5 most common ways that we're holding ourselves back from success are that I see people doing commonly. And so stay tuned. We're coming right up with a bumper episode today.
Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, and in my 23 years of business and marketing, I've built many brands to become multi-billion-dollar companies. And just in the last 10 years, I've built 2 online businesses of my own from my dining room table with 2 little babies running around at my feet. I've made it my mission to inspire you to get out of your own way and become the successful business owner who's living the lifestyle you really desire without all the hustle. This is She's the Business podcast, made by women for women. This is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration. So today on the podcast, I thought it would be really good time of year really to bring this conversation forwards. It's that time of year where we really start to reflect on what's happened in the year, what's worked, what hasn't worked, all of those things. And success leaves clues, right? So we're looking for patterns. We're looking for what are those clues to success? And I'm always on the hunt, really interested to see, what are those things that I can see happening either in my business or with my clients' businesses that are forming those clues, those consistent clues to what's created really being the thing that's caused their success. And that's why I thought today there are actually 5 things that I see that have been hidden factors that actually are holding people back. So when I've looked for the clues to success, I'm also like, what are these people doing and what are they not doing? And then I've compared that with those who maybe are finding it a little bit harder to get into their groove, to achieve the results that they've really wanted to achieve. And then it's become very apparent that there are some hidden factors that basically bringing upon ourselves. And these are the things that are holding us back from achieving the results that we want, far more so than what we might think. And I've recognized what these 5 things are, mainly because I've done every single one of them myself at some point in the past as well. And they're not always what you think of as a way that you're being held back until you've got past it, you've blasted it out of the way, and then you look back and realize, oh my God, that was really holding me back so much. So I love sharing this stuff with you because I think that these things create the biggest leaps forward. The biggest leaps in your business come from you removing the barriers that you're placing in your own way. Now, as you may know, I'm here recording this podcast. It's literally like 2 days until I move out of this house. I won't be in this office. I'll be in my caravan. We are heading off around Australia on about 8 months. We think it'll take an 8-month trip. We call it the Big Lap here. So it's where we're going to drive around the outside of Australia, essentially, pretty much the whole way around. We're skipping out Tasmania, unfortunately, because it is beautiful, but we really need to spend more time there. We're just not going to have enough time to do it justice on this trip. And the only other piece we're really skipping out is the north of Queensland. For those of you who know Australia and know our geography, I live in Queensland, but down the southern end. And I kind of feel like, well, it's my home state. We can go and spend more time there another time as well. So long story short, 8 months in a caravan. I'm taking my business on the road. And yes, your podcast will be coming to you from me recording in my caravan while we're on our travels all around Australia, which I'm really excited about. I can't wait to kind of share a little bit of the adventure with you, as well as
how does this all work when you literally take your business on the road, and not any old road? Like, I'm not going to be in cities. We're going to be fairly remote some of the time. We've got an off-road caravan. We've got a 4-wheel drive. We're going to be exploring some places that not many people go to, which is going to be super exciting. Now, you might be wondering, well, how am I going to do that with an online business? I've just invested in Elon Musk's satellite internet, high-speed internet that is from the satellites that are floating around in orbit around the Earth at the moment. And yeah, we get this box and we connect up to it, and basically it just finds us the closest satellite. It connects to it, and apparently we get high-speed internet the whole way around. So really excited about this. It's on its way. We've ordered it, haven't got it yet, but I will be letting you know how it goes once I've got that all set up. So anyway, the reason for me sharing this with you, just went off down a little tangent there, but why is this relevant and important to today's discussion? Well, because I've had a huge focus as we're preparing for this trip on how can I make business easier? How can I make it less work, less stress, less, time that I need to spend doing it without having a hit to the bank balance, without having any slow down essentially of the business itself. And that's been a question that I've asked myself over and over again this year. I've been really looking for clues to easier business. What is it that creates something that is far easier to run? And that's led me to, obviously doing this deep dive and coming up with the content for you today on the things that have really hold back the growth and make it harder. Some of the things that I have been looking at doing and have been implementing this year to get ready for this trip, thinking about things like, how do I make sure that I'm really only spending my time with people who will become great clients? So the right people. How am I making sure I'm connecting with them? The message that I'm putting out is really helping me to attract those people and not attract the ones who, they're not the right fit for me, because my time is so precious. I don't want to be spending it, wasting it on those who really are never going to buy from me, and they may not be the ones who are going to succeed in working with me. And that's a really interesting thing as well. Really defining who is the right person. They may be right, they might be ticking all of the boxes, but there are other factors that come into it, that they may be in a different space. They might not be ready to do the work that I really want them to do in order to get the results. And so for those reasons, they may not be the right person, or yet they might need to get to that place before they become the right person. So that's been one thing. Another thing is obviously reducing processes like sales time, the time to make a sale, what the process is, what people go through. How can I make it simpler? How can I make it easier? These are all of the things that I have been exploring, implementing, and getting really strict with in my business to get rid of time-consuming, overcomplicated, really ineffective processes that I've had there, and they've been there, so they exist. But I was like, do I really need that? Is that really necessary? Can we just cut those steps out? So I've been going through this optimizing, streamlining, and scaling process in my business this year to get me ready for this trip. Now, what are these 5 things, 5 hidden ways that I have seen that are quite common for us in business when we get to that point where, yes, we've got a business, we're doing some things, but it's just not growing as fast as what we expected, as fast as what we'd like. And usually everybody's looking externally. They're like, there's so many people in the market. There's so much going on out there. It's just harder to get clients. Or, they're thinking maybe I'm not offering the right stuff. There's lots of different reasons that we come up with as to why we're not growing maybe at the rate that we think that we should be. But I would hazard a wild guess, and actually, no, it's not even a wild guess. I would hazard a very, very good guess that you would have one, if not more than one, of these 5 things going on right now in your business that are essentially acting like a rope. So you've got a rope around your belly for each one of these, and it's tied to the ground behind you. So you're running and you're not getting anywhere because you're literally being held back by this thing. So let's get into what these 5 things are now. Now, number 1, this probably comes as no great surprise to you, but we need to talk about it because even though we know it, a lot of people are still not doing it. And that is the whole when I, then I. That is the whole situation where you think, when I get to a certain point, then I'm going to be successful enough to outsource some of these things in my business. And so what's happening when we're doing that? We're trying to do it all ourselves. You're doing all of these things. You're wearing all of the hats in your business. Maybe you've taken off 1 or 2 of them, but you're holding on to a whole lot more hats, thinking, no, I need to get to a certain level before I can outsource. What that's doing, however, it's really creating this capacity ceiling, and you hit it really fast. So you might already be at it. And a lot of people who I speak to are at this place, and they're thinking, well, I'm here, I've got no time. I know I should outsource some things, but I don't feel like I'm making enough of my business bringing in so that I can outsource. However, when you think about it, like the reason that you're not making enough is because you're doing all of these things, and it's keeping you from doing the other things or more of those things that help you to serve more clients, have more time to bring in more clients, and even maybe do a little bit more of your marketing or sales that you need to do to get the clients. So when you're sitting there in the back end doing all of this stuff yourself, which may seem like it's making progress and it's really good to do, you're actually reducing the opportunity, the possibility for yourself to earn more. When you're earning more, of course, then you have the ability to pay for those contractors. But I'd hazard that right now you probably do have that ability. And what if you decided to get rid of something off your plate right now, and just by freeing up that time, suddenly created the space that allowed you to welcome somebody else in, a new client that made more than enough to cover the cost of that. Now, wouldn't that be smarter? So this is one of the very first things that I'd love you to look at and think, is there anything that you're doing right now that really isn't your zone of genius, that's repetitive, that's very process driven, that's taking up a lot of your time, that you don't love? And how much time could you gain back if you got rid of it? You don't need to know how to do everything in your business. You don't need to be the one who does it all first and then passes it over. And in fact, the reason that you're, finding it hard to pass something over is probably because you're holding on to it really tightly, thinking no one else is going to be able to do it as well as you. They are. And the way that you can help them do that as well as you, or even better than you, is literally by setting them up for success. So that actually comes down to leadership, your leadership, and how you can show them the way that they succeed in that role. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. It's not about finding the perfect person. There are many people who could help you. It's really often just about you giving them that framework, the guideline of what it is, what this role is, what you want them to do, and how do they succeed at it? What are those expectations? So we always start with the simplest stuff first. Outsource the simple things because, again, they're the easiest things for you to manage as somebody who's outsourced it. But I'll move on. So that's number 1. One way that you're probably holding yourself back, and have a look, even if you've got people working for you, is there something else that you're now doing that's taking up a lot of your time? Ask that question. Number 2 is playing in a space that feels like you've got more opportunity. So this would be where you're looking at your target market and trying to include as many areas as you can so that you've got more opportunity, not wanting to leave somebody out. And this is otherwise known as keeping your niche broad. Now, I think I could do a whole episode just on this one. So I'm going to just touch on it and then, look out for another podcast episode on this because we can go much, much deeper. But the reason why we really want to ask yourself this question is if that you're not finding clients are coming to you easily, if you're having to go out and look for them, if you are finding that the people aren't necessarily a great fit for you, or you're customizing a lot of things, maybe you're also not not earning or not selling at the level that you want to sell at, then those are all signs that you really just haven't dialed in your niche, your target, well enough to be actually bringing in the people who you really want. It is really that black and white. If you're not getting the right people, it's because you're not speaking to the right people. So you're probably talking to the wrong niche. You're talking to people who are outside of who you really want to talk to. And it makes it harder for you, for one thing, because when someone's not really sure whether that is for them, when they're not sure that you're specifically the right person for them, they're far less likely to take that step forward with you. So when we think about that, keeping your niche broad, it feels like you're keeping your options open, but it's actually making it harder for you, making it much harder and take longer to build up trust with people, for people to really think that you are the right one for them. You're just extending that process to take much, much longer. And when I look at those people who are in my program, Business Jam, the ones who have had the fastest and biggest transformations, the one thing that they all have in common is that they really dialed in to their niche, and they not only chose it. This is a really good distinction that I realized, just a couple of months ago, really, is that it's not about choosing a niche, it's about creating it. And something that every single one of these people who found a really quick and huge result, a transformation within 90 days, they each of them defined their own niche. They weren't choosing to play in one that someone else has created. They defined their own one. And how powerful is that? They really took the steps that we went through. They followed them. They looked their fears in the eyes, because yes, it can be scary. You can feel like you're leaving people out who you don't want to leave out. But the beauty is that it's not that you're leaving people out. You're just aligning yourself more to the ones who you really want to attract. And these people did that. And I see it every single time. So that's one of my clues of success. When I looked for these success factors, I thought, what was it that these people each have done that is consistent, that they've each done it really well? And that was, defining their own niche, a space for themselves to play in. That was really clear, really concise, really specific. And as soon as they did that, they started to see results. And that's no mistake. It's no coincidence. That is the clue of success. It leaves a pattern, and there's a very, very definite pattern happening there. So I'll cover off more of this on a whole separate episode, because I think we could dive so much deeper. And I really want to share with you, what is it? What are some of the things that we do in Business Jam that helps them to go to that level of depth, that they get a really powerful, magnetic niche and the messaging that really hits home. And it's not just one thing. There's a few things that we do that I think no one else really does. They don't do to this level. And that's why a lot of people struggle with their niche. It's why they struggle to have clients find them, why you see so many people out there, cold prospecting, cold DMing, trying to drum up clients. Well, that's simply because they haven't defined their niche enough to stand out, to be known, to be sought after, to be someone that someone can find. It really comes back to that one thing. And so I will do a whole nother episode and take you behind the scenes on what's actually below the surface and what we do that helps them to get that level of definition, the clarity that brings the success. So the third hidden reason why you might be holding yourself back, or hidden way that you're holding yourself back, is not sharing your offer often enough. Again, really, really simple, right? If we don't tell people about our stuff, if we don't make it easy for them and share with them what it is that we have, why are we expecting people to purchase, to sign up with you, to come and have a chat with you about it? It's so funny, because we think, well, we know what it is that we have. And we think that just simply by having it, someone's going to go on a bit of an exploration journey and go through your website and read all about it and find out about it and then get in touch. like, well, people are really, really busy. And if you're not telling people how you can help them, if you're not sharing that information externally, then you're holding it back. You're holding it back from them. You're making it hard for them. So have you considered that simply by sharing more, telling people more about what it is that you do, including it in your content, including it anytime, anywhere, actually really just sharing it, that can lead to faster, easier success. And it doesn't take any more effort than what you're doing right now. You literally just need to include that mention. Now, you might be thinking, oh, well, that's going to be very salesy. I'm going to turn into a salesy person. And absolutely not. This doesn't mean that you have to turn into a sleazy, salesy person who's just shoving your things down people's throats, because you're not, right? You're talking to people who want what it is that you offer. You're talking to someone who needs what it is that you do. And you're just literally telling them that it's here and inviting them to take that next step with you. They don't have to. But if you don't tell them about it, how do they even know that it's there and to be able to take that step? Now, I share my stuff, and I guess I've got over this whole fear of being salesy a lot, because I have a focus on value. So in my content, I do an email every week to my list. I share content on social media. I have this podcast, and my number one priority is value. So I've got an 80-20 rule. Really, it's value is 80%. 20% is making sure people know how they can work with me. What is that thing? What have I got on offer? What can they do? How can they take that next step? And it's an important, very important 20% part, but it's always there. I try to make sure there's always something, even if it's just a PS in the email, like, hey, if you're ready to take that next step, then here's how I can help you. They don't have to do it, but it's there for that person who is ready right now and who wants to know and who doesn't want to go on a great big hunt all through my website to try to find out how they can get in touch. I just really make it easy for them. As salesy person is never really worried about being salesy. So the very fact that you are concerned about being salesy, you don't want to be someone who's sleazy and has salesy type image, then that means that you're not. And it would be very hard for you to be unless you started acting out of alignment with yourself. So what we're talking about here is not about being pushy. It's not about being salesy. It's just about putting out the invitation, the offer, little signpost, hey, over here, come this way if you would like to. And of course, most people are going to stay on the main street. They're going to stay there, going the direction that they're going. They might pop their head up every now and then and pay a bit of attention to what you're saying. And when they're ready to take that step, when they're ready to listen, they realize, wow, hey, this person actually really could help me. Then they can see you very clearly signposting off down here, come down the little side street here. This is where you get it. And they can swerve off the main road with all the other people all going in their one direction, and they can come down that side road with you. If you don't have the signpost there, they're going to just walk straight past it without even seeing it. So that's really number 3. I want you to have a really good think. How often are you talking about your offer? How often do you let people know how they can take that next step with you? How often are you sharing anything about it? Because if you're not sharing, then other people aren't going to know. Number 4. Okay, we're on to number 4. I think I've said haphazard at least 3 times already in this episode. Must be my buzzword for today because I don't normally say it. But I wrote it down this morning, so it's clearly something that I'm feeling today. But at this time, it is haphazard marketing. This is another hidden way you're holding yourself back. And what does this really mean? Well, what I see a lot of people doing is they're doing marketing activities. And they might understand what it is. They might be doing some Facebook ads. They might be sending out an email to their list. Maybe it's even a consistent one. They might have a weekly or a monthly email that they're sending out. They might be doing some social media. So they're doing these things. But what I see them really missing is the connection. What I see, the way that I view marketing is that Alignment is what makes it work. When there's no thread between the things that you're doing, there's no connection from one thing to the next, then you're doing a whole lot of separate activities and you're putting energy behind each one. And it's like you're trying to drive multiple vehicles down the street. Whereas when you can connect them, it's like you've got this invisible thread connecting those activities. And so the effort you're putting into one is also having an impact on the others because they're all connected. It's helping your people to flow from one to another, which improves your conversion rate. And I really dive much more deeply into this, into what is this connection between alignment and conversion rate, and how does increasing your alignment actually increase your conversion rate. So if you're interested, you can join my free training. It's called 5 Keys to Clients on Tap. Come and do that one because I dive into that in real detail. And I'd love you, if you're interested in seeing really how powerful that is, the difference between when you're not connected, not aligned in your activities, to being aligned, and how your conversion rate increases amazingly, which obviously improves your results with less time. With the same amount of time you're putting in, you can have far, far better results. So come and join me in that training. The link is in the show notes. It's at jessicaosborne.com/TMF. Head over there and jump on the next session that I'm running because, I love it. It's honestly the best training that I have put together, and I've done trainings for about 4 or 5 years now. I love doing it. It's where I really enjoy spending that time. It's something that I thrive on. And this one is my best yet. So I'd love you to come and join me in that. Anyway, I digress. So haphazard marketing. This is holding you back because you're spending the energy in different activities, but none of these activities is helping any of the other ones. They're all just individual. And usually the other key that I find as well, which is such a great one, I love helping my clients to just literally switch this on and see what changes in their results, is they haven't aligned these activities to the offer that they're trying to sell. And when you get that alignment in there, then the activities that you're doing are setting people up to have demand, desire. They already have desire for the outcome, but to have demand and desire for your solution, for your way of getting to the outcome they want. And of course, that also increases sales. So let's stop the haphazard marketing. You can probably do far, far less if you just have it connected, if you have it aligned, if you have what you're doing aligned so that there's flow, so that there's the leverage of one helps another, helps the others, and helps each be more successful. You can be spending far less time doing your marketing, doing your selling, and have as good or even better results than what you have right now. At an absolute minimum, as good. Doing less time, actually doing less, have as good a results. But I have seen, and I firmly believe in what I show my clients to do inside Business Jam, is how you have better results, spending less time doing the marketing. And it's really just this, I love to think of it like invisible thread, a bit like a spider's web, where you can kind of see it like that glossy thread there is linking everything. And when it's all linked, it's functioning together as a whole, that's when it works. So number 5, we're up to number 5. 5 hidden ways that you're holding yourself back, or you might be holding yourself back. Maybe you've got so far and you're thinking, no, I haven't done any of those 4. Well, if that's you, good on you. Really great. Great to hear. So the 5th one, and these are just the 5 most common that I see. There may be others. We could have a think and maybe do another podcast episode another day on the other things that you could be doing, ways you might be holding yourself back. But the 5th one that I see is the old case of selling too many things. Now, are you selling too many things? That might be the first question, or am I? I don't know. And I ask you to think about this. How many different services, offerings do you have right now that you're selling? And when you're in a place where you're thinking, okay, what I'm doing, it's not generating enough, I'm not getting enough revenue. Usually what people do is look for, what else could I offer? How can I add something else to bring in more people? But this is the exact thing that is slowing you down and holding you back, because every single offer and service offering that you create, you're putting time into creating it, time into developing it, time into the processes in the back end, time into the management of it. And all of that is adding up back back end time, non-billable time, stuff that's not bringing in the revenue. Whereas if you simply focused on optimizing what you've already got, which again is another fancy word for saying aligning it better, getting it working better, getting that the machine working as a well-oiled machine, right? If we focus on that instead, that's where you get faster, easier growth. You've already put the effort into developing it. You've already got it. Why isn't it working as well as it should be? Well, let's dive in and look at it. Don't just put it aside and think, well, that's just as good as it will ever be. Every single offering that you have got right now could be better. You could be making more from it. You could be spending less time on it. You could be getting better clients, more clients. We can optimize every single aspect of your existing offering. And this is the other thing that I see the huge difference is when I have been able to get some of my clients to reduce what they're offering and really focus in on either one or two or three, a very small number of things that they do. That's when they're saying things like, wow, I've got an abundant salary, I'm paying myself, or quadrupled my income this year. And we've actually reduced what it was that they're offering, narrowed it down, narrowed the focus. Why? It makes it so much easier for you. You know exactly what it is you want to sell. That means that it's so much easier for you to do your marketing. That means you can tailor your content or your processes to bring in the right people for the things that you want to sell. Instead of thinking, well, I've got all of these different offerings. That means I've got all these different people who I might be able to help, who might buy from me. So I need to keep my marketing really broad. And it was going back to where you have number 2 and even number 4, keeping your niche broad and your haphazard marketing. These are probably all because we've got all of these things going on. You've got all of these offerings, which means that you're keeping your niche broad because you're trying to service all of them. You're trying to be the right one for all of these different offerings. And I'll guarantee, let's just say, I'm going to put my little stake in the ground here and say, I guarantee if you look at your offerings, they are not all equally profitable. They're not all equally the money earner for you. There'll be some of them that you might already know, even just thinking about it for a moment, that are taking far more of your time for far little return. And so I ask you, why? Why are you still offering that? Why are you even doing it? Is it just because you've always done it? Is it because you think your clients want it? Well, do you really have to be the one that offers this? If it's not profitable, it takes a lot of your time and it brings in little, doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me for a business, and you don't have to be the one person who does everything, right? So ask yourself that question. Is there a reason why this isn't as profitable as your other offerings? Is it because it's new? Maybe you're just at that beginning part of it and it's got potential, but you really need to optimize it. Or is it something that you've had for a long time that you're doing just because you've always done it? And if it's the latter, then I would be saying, have a good, long, hard look at it. Ask yourself the question, should I be offering this? And it's maybe your fear of letting go of some of that. That's also a hidden 6th way that you are holding yourself back right now from faster growth. So I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. This came to me on my walk this morning. We've now hit summer in Queensland. My goodness, we just going into December and it's hot. If you can see my video right now, if you're on YouTube or on my socials, you'll see that my hair has started to go into crazy humid heat, a little bit curly and affy. And, you have a shower and you feel like you just need to have another one straight away. So you're going to be seeing me with a lot of singlets on over the next, probably 5 months or so. And you're going to be seeing me in different locations. Now, I probably will record from inside my caravan. That will be usually, I would say, the ideal place to be recording from. So I'll have a different backdrop. It's going to be lots of fun. And if you want to follow along, come and follow me on Instagram. I'm going to share in my stories, I'll share on the feed a little few insights into the big lap around Australia, into the travels. And just, I guess, how it all goes. I'm going to share with you how this satellite internet that Elon Musk has created, how does that even work? Is it good? Is it not good? What are the tips that I might have for you if you're thinking of doing something like this? I will definitely be sharing as much as I think is relevant for you guys as well. So love for you to come and follow me on Insta. Send me a note if you'd like this episode and there's something that you've found out about yourself. You're like, oh my goodness, I didn't even see it, but now I see that I've been doing this all along. No wonder things have been slower than what I wanted. I'd love to know about it. So why don't you send me a DM on Instagram, or if you'd really like to, screenshot the podcast episode and share it to your stories and let me know what was your light bulb moment. What was that thing that you discovered today about yourself that is now going to be the catalyst to change? I would love to hear about it. I'd love to hear from you. And thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And listen out for the next episode coming next week. It's going to be an absolute cracker. And as I promised, I will do a deeper dive episode on your ideal customer. What is it that's below the surface? So look out for that one. It's coming up in the next couple of weeks. And I'll talk to you then. Bye. If you're not easily attracting the sort of clients that really excite you, and you're tired of needing to hunt for clients online, you're done with relying on those inconsistent referrals to scrape by month to month, or you're sick of wasting money on ads that don't work, then you're going to absolutely love the free training that I have put together specifically for you. It is called 5 Keys to Clients on Tap. And you'll spend just an hour with me in this free online training and walk away with my proven formula to magnetically attract a consistent stream of high-value clients without wasting your energy on the latest social media trend or sending cold DMs. You're going to be able to figure out how to hit your profit goals within the time and hours that you want to work, so that you've got more guilt-free family time, free time, or me time, whatever it is for you. Head to jessicaosborne.com/TMF to register now for this training. That's jessicaosborne.com/TMF, which stands for The Magnetic Formula. And I'm going to share it with you. See you there.